Hey you guys, and welcome back to another video, and it's a video that unfortunately I didn't really want to have to make, and I've kept putting this video off and off and off and off for as long as I possibly can, but I feel like I just have to make it now, and now that I know what is happening, I feel like I'm ready to update you guys, and I've kind of, I don't know, taken in the information myself. It took me a while to sort of come to terms with everything, but I feel like I'm finally ready to talk about it with you guys now. So if you guys follow me over on Instagram, you'll know that little Macy, my little baby, hasn't been well recently. She probably started to get poorly around November time, and it's been very touch and go and quite emotional since. But I'm not gonna cry in today's video because I feel like my videos are either one way or the other. Either we're laughing or we're like bawling our eyes out, and today I'm just gonna try and be as neutral as possible because I have already cried my tears on this topic. I think if I cry anymore I'll start to like melt because I don't think there's that much like fluid left in my body. But yeah, a couple of things to address before we start. I am filming currently in my brand new beautiful location, the floor by my bedroom door. The lights in my room finally decided to perish yesterday, and to be honest, I do not have the money, nor the time, nor the energy to go and buy new bulbs. So this is it, guys, welcome home. And also, yes, I'm wearing a onesie. It is absolutely throwing it down in the UK at the moment. I have been soaked from head to toe. I have just had a shower, and this is the only outfit I have left that isn't drenched. So this is it. So I mentioned back in November over on Instagram that Macy hadn't been well and that we didn't know what was going on with her, but that she'd been to the vets and things and was undergoing lots of tests to try and figure out what was going on. And then since then I've put a couple of little updates on, but nothing really explaining what the actual situation is with her and what's really been going on behind the scenes, only that it's obviously been very emotional for us all. Macy, not going to cry. Macy is my absolute favourite of the miniatures and one of my favourites of all of the horses. Like, I know you guys have seen her on the Shetland Games videos and stuff and seen how talented and incredible she is like that, but she is also the most amazing personality around the stables. She is so bossy, and but in the funniest and the sweetest way. She makes this noise. I will put a little video in a second of her making her bossy noises, and she does it all the time, and it's so sweet. Like whenever there's food around, whenever she wants anything at all, even if it's just a fuss or a little boop on her nose or a little kiss, she makes this really adorable like bossy human noise. She reminds me of like Edna Mode from The Incredibles, and she is incredible. She's my absolute love of my life, honestly. She is incredible. I love her so much. Too much, really. And yeah, they say you should never have favourites, and I guess this is why. I love all of my horses, but I do have a very soft spot for Macy, and I feel like when anything bad happens, it always happens to the absolute best of the best. And yeah, unfortunately, things have happened to Macy, and today I wanted to make a video where I just talk about it and explain what's happened and let you guys know what is going on now that we have all the details that I think we're going to get from the situation. So I'm going to start from the beginning, from back when I noticed things were starting to go downhill for her, and talk you guys through it from then. Coming to like later in October, I noticed that Macy was dropping weight, not like enormously, just a little bit, maybe a little bit more than usual. Coming into winter, Macy always does lose a little bit of weight and a little bit of condition, and then you bring her in, rug her up, feed her up, and she's fine. Like, she's just one of those that when the grass starts to die off in the autumn, she naturally loses a bit of body weight and condition, which a lot of horses do. She's just that kind of like breed. She's an American miniature, she's not a Shetland, so whilst all the other Shetlands are all like hardy and, you know, they're growing these big thick coats through and stuff, Macy just doesn't cope quite as well, which is completely understandable. I'd say she's more kind of like a thoroughbred kind of horse to take care of than like a cob, if that makes sense. So she started to lose a bit of condition. I wasn't too worried. I sort of thought, okay. I started feeding her up in the field for a couple of weeks and rugging her in the field more, and then I got her stable ready and everything sorted in that couple of weeks and brought her in, and you know, I thought, okay, she's gonna start to improve now. I'm feeding her up. She's on quite large feeds every day for a miniature. She was getting like a balancer, like a chaff a bit of ready grass, a bit of speedy beet. She even got some barley rings at one point, and she got Equitop Myoplast, which is like a muscle building, very expensive like conditioning thing. So yeah, she was on a lot of stuff for a miniature, and I just figured, you know what, she'll be on this for a few weeks, it'll build her up really quickly, then she'll be grand and she'll be great going into the winter, which is what we would normally do and has worked every year that we've had her. But she just continued to deteriorate, and I didn't know why it was happening. I just kept thinking, oh, maybe she needs worming, so I'd like worm her, or I thought maybe her teeth need doing, so she'd have her teeth done. And like for a few weeks we went round and round in this like circle. It was probably about a month in total of like, what else can we try? Obviously I'm not hitting the nail on the head with something. I changed her feed up, tried a few different things, and you know, different oils and stuff in her feeds as well, adding those in, see if that made a difference. But yeah, in the end I sort of said to my mum and dad, I was like, right, I'm gonna give this like a few weeks and see how she gets on now that I've changed all these things, now that I've wormed her, done her teeth and everything, and if she doesn't start to improve, then I'm gonna take her to the vets and she's gonna have to be investigated, because I was starting to feel more and more like nervy about the situation, because obviously she's done this every year and then like, but never like this. She's always just lost a little bit of condition, then piled it back on again and been fine, which is so normal for horses coming into the winter season. But she just kept deteriorating and more rapidly as well. Like within the space of a couple of weeks, she'd gone from looking like sort of a little bit under the weather and a little bit sort of like skinnier, like, you know, on the skinnier side but not bad, to like looking like some of these horses you see on videos on Facebook and stuff that are like completely emaciated, and like her back was literally like triangular. I don't think I took any photos just because it wasn't something, like, I probably should have taken photos because then it would have been easier to like show the vet differences and things, but I literally could not take photos of her. I couldn't look at her and take a photo thinking, oh, one day I'll share this on the internet. Like, never. She looked worse than any horse I've ever seen in person in my life, and I've seen a lot of horses in my life, and her back was literally like triangular, you know, her hips, her pelvis, sorry, I'm getting a bit emotional now. Her hips and pelvis and stuff were just like completely stuck out like that, and she just looked horrific. You could see every single rib in her. She'd started to get lethargic, which was understandable with that much weight loss, you know, and it was at that point that obviously, because it happened so rapidly, it wasn't like she was like that for ages and then I was like, oh, I guess I'll take her into the vets. Like, she literally, within that like gap of me being like, oh, I've done everything now, I'm gonna give her a couple of weeks and see how she gets on, she literally went from like sort of okay to like way worse than anything I'd ever seen in my life. The vet came out here first, so Macy did go in like the following day, but the vet was actually out here first doing a general check, because he was out doing vaccines anyway. I was like, look, I need you to come and look at Macy and see what you think to her, and then obviously she's gonna have to go in anyway, but can you have a look today for some peace of mind and stuff, because it was literally like doing my head in looking at her every day and seeing that she was in this horrible state. So he looked over her, he listened to her heart and was like, has anyone ever picked this up before? And obviously people have listened to her heart before because she's been vaccinated, she's been like teeth done and everything, and my vet always checks these things. Like, no one's ever mentioned anything before, and basically her heart was just beating like really irregular, and then so it'd be like really slow for a few, and then it would like do a couple of regular beats and then be really slow again, and even with exercise it didn't resolve itself, you know, because they said sometimes they can have these little like slight heart irregular rhythms and stuff, and then you exercise them and it like almost like resets itself and starts working normal, and like as they exercise it picks up and gets faster like any heart should, but Macy's didn't, and it just didn't do anything. It just stayed exactly the same, and she just looked more lethargic and like she was going to collapse after she'd done like a couple of minutes of trotting around. So anyway, that was when I was like, right, we need to take her in. So she went in the following day. She had an ECG, like a scan of her heart to make sure everything was okay, and they were actually quite happy with her heart. They said there is a slight defect there, but it's nothing alarming. They've seen it with miniatures before. It's nothing to worry about. She'll cope fine with it. But she's had bloods run before, of course. That was another thing I forgot to mention earlier, that obviously when we checked her teeth and wormed her and stuff, we were like, let's run some bloods as well. They'd all come back clear. but the vet that we saw when we went into the hospital said she wanted to run a completely different set of bloods, sort of a more specific type, looking for different things, which we obviously said was fine, just go ahead. She ran these bloods. I took Macy home, and then we got the results back later that day because they'd fast-tracked them, looking at the condition of her, and we found then that she had problems with her liver. Her liver levels were not right, you know, they were way off, and so I took her straight back through. Following morning she went straight in again, and she had to stay in for a few days then whilst they did a biopsy on her liver to see if they could figure out what was going on. That biopsy then obviously came back after a couple of weeks, but they did start her on liver tonic in the meantime because obviously her liver results were so off they knew there was something wrong there anyway. And she had quite a bit of cirrhosis on her liver, which meant her liver was a lot smaller. I guess, I don't know how to describe it, kind of like more shriveled up than it should be. It was kind of starting to shut down, like people with like liver disease would have. You'd start to get cirrhosis, and in people I guess that would present with like jaundice and stuff like that, but horses it's obviously different. I'm not a vet, but I don't know how it presents in them other than what Macy had, like the lethargy, weight loss, things like that. So anyway, she was already on liver tonic. They said leave her on that, you know, we're going to give her some steroids as well and see how she gets on with those, and yeah, just see how you get on for the next few weeks, and then we want to see her again. They came out a few weeks later. They took more bloods and went off to run them. I actually started to think, you know what, Macy's looking a lot better. Like, she was heavily rugged. I was doing absolutely everything that I could to help her. You know, she was practically on box rest. I didn't want her moving around much at all. I didn't want her burning any excess energy. I didn't want her getting remotely cold. I wanted her to stay completely, like, perfectly warm and, you know, not do too much exercise. She was going out in this like little pen that I'd made her. She had a grass pen outside every day, and then she also has like a sand pen next to her stable, so that was where she was going. So she obviously did get to stretch her legs, but I didn't want her running wild or having to walk a million miles to get to a field. I just wanted to keep her energy levels an absolute like zero, because obviously she had a heart condition as well, so which is something I'm always going to be nattered about now. But yeah, anyway, I started to look at her and think, you know what, she's actually putting weight back on. She looks good, like, this is working. You know, and we started to get more positive about it and think, oh, okay, she's going to be okay. We'd started to come up with some theories as to why this could have happened. The vet had said, like, what field has she been in? And we were like, oh, actually, she has been in a different field than where she normally would be. You know, and it's a field we rarely use for the horses at all. So we were like, maybe there's something wrong with the soil, maybe there's a plant that we've missed up there that she's managed to feast on or something. I don't know, but, you know, we were looking around the field. I've been up to that field so many times looking for anything out of the ordinary. There's nothing there that I can see. The vet was like, sometimes you get these fields that have like weird soil levels and stuff that can affect it. So we haven't had the soil up there tested yet because we wanted to wait until we knew what was happening with Macy, but obviously it was shut off so that no other horses could go in there. Yeah, anyway, we just waited and waited, and then we got the update liver results back and they were clear, and she was absolutely fine with her liver. And I couldn't understand why. I was in the arena riding when the vet rang, and she rang with such a solemn tone, and yet she was giving me this great news, and I thought, oh my god, that's amazing, like, she's better, you know, we've sorted her liver thing out. I had no idea it was going to bounce back that quickly, and the vet said she didn't either. She had no idea it was going to be that quick for it to come back from what it was. But then she said some of the other levels that they tested before that were slightly off, like not even enough to really warrant any worry at all, had plummeted since her last blood test. And I asked what that meant, and she said it could be one of two things. It could be like some kind of gut disease, or it could be cancer. So obviously that was a shock, and she said the levels have altered so much that did I want the vet to just come out and put her to sleep? And I said, like, no, like, I can't do that, like, she's literally fine. Like, she'd gone from, she'd gone from like that last few weeks ago looking like completely shriveled up and like she was dying to her normal stuff. She was dragging me to the field every day. She was, you know, like making her bossy noises again. She was full of energy. She'd put weight back on. You know, she obviously wasn't perfect weight-wise yet because it had only been a few weeks, but she'd significantly filled out again. Like, her back had gone from being like that to sort of like that, you know, over the space of a few weeks, which is really fast. But the vet was like, these levels, they don't look good. She said, I want to do a few more really specific tests to try and find out which of the two that it is. And I said, yeah, of course, go ahead, do some more bloods and stuff. She said, I don't want to do any more biopsies on her and stuff because she'd had a really bad reaction. She'd had to stay in for several days after she'd had that first liver biopsy. She didn't take it very well at all, and it was looking a bit scary for a minute there, and that was literally just a normal biopsy, like a needle through the skin. That was it. So she was like, anything else that I'm going to do is going to be way more invasive than that, so I'm only going to stick to doing the bloods with her because I just think it's too dangerous, and we both agreed on that. Another couple of weeks went by where she was just continuing to improve and was fine. So we were waiting for more bloods to come back, and then just after Christmas, just into the new year, we got the phone call that I was dreading. Macy has cancer. And it was just like every worst fear just confirmed in that moment. It's just such a scary word, you know? It's like, there's so many different types of cancers and stuff, and a lot of them are fine, but it's just that word, cancer, is just so scary. And I think everyone has had cancer affect them at some point in their life. I've had family members with it and stuff that, you know, it's affected our lives in so many different ways and stuff, but you just never think of a horse. Like, I guess Nero had cancer, but his was isolated, that was in his sheath, and that was years ago, and he very fortunately had that removed, and it was a scary experience for a couple of days, but it wasn't, you know, it wasn't life-threatening at the time that we caught it. Whereas Macy's is obviously progressing. We don't know at what rate, really, because obviously we don't even know how long it's been there. I don't even know if she hadn't have had this liver thing. I don't know whether we would have ever found out, like, until it was way too late. But obviously they then realised that the liver, it had bounced back so quickly because that wasn't actually ever a primary cause of why she was so poorly. It was obviously secondary to the cancer, and it was sort of a symptom that was really irritating her. And the vet again was like, do you want me to send someone out and have her put to sleep? And I was like, no, I don't. I need to, like, find out different things, see if there's anything we can do for her, because she literally looks fine. She looks normal. Like, if you did not know and she hadn't had these bloods, you would not know. Like, she looks fine now, and like literally now she's probably slightly overweight. She's like a little barrel, and she looks great. She's looking really well compared to what she was like a few months ago. She's like a different horse. She's completely different. We discussed through the options and things of what we could do, and we determined that with the bloods and the more specific bloods that they'd taken, that the cancer is somewhere in her digestive tract. It's somewhere in there, but we don't know where, and we don't know how aggressive it is, and the only way to determine that would be to take a biopsy. But the only way to do that would be to put her under and make a surgical incision across her whole, like, abdomen, and open her up and take biopsies from several different areas. To be quite frank, she wouldn't survive that, and I would never ever put her through that, because it's not even a cure, it's just to diagnose her with something we know she has, and that, like, it's incredibly likely that we're not going to be able to make a difference. I just want her to be happy. Just scared. But it's been really tough. I've sort of come to terms with it now, but it has just been really tough. So she was on steroids for a while just to help with the weight gain, and to be honest, they didn't really do a lot. She was gaining weight so much anyway. And she looks really good now, and she's doing well in herself. She literally, if you didn't know, you wouldn't know. She looks great. She looks the best that she's done in a long time. Like, she looks really well. But obviously I know. And it sounds silly, but she's so smart, like, she's so clever. My dad was with me in the barn the other day, and she's like just in front of us, and he was like, you know, talking to Macy, and I was like, don't tell her, just don't tell her, because I don't want her to give up, because she's so clever. I don't want her to know. But the truth is, the scariest part is that I know I'm gonna lose her. I just don't know when. I hope it's not for a really long time. And I hope it's like the slowest progressing cancer that there is, and it's just gonna, you know, she'll eventually let me know and the spark will disappear out of her eyes, and then I'll be able to make that decision knowing that that is what is best for her in that moment, and I'll make it as peaceful and as lovely as I can for her. But I just really hope that that's not for a long time. But I'm scared because I don't know when that'll be. I don't want to like I've had some amazing offers for like holidays and stuff, and my parents, like, you know, holidays through doing the online things and stuff that would be like a once in a lifetime opportunity for me to go on and stuff, and I'm scared because I'm like, what if I go away even if it's just for a couple of weeks and she then really rapidly declines and I'm not here? It's just so heartbreaking, and I've got Rue there. Like, if you guys don't know us and the horses of the Shetlands that well, you'll know that you won't know, but they're all like in pairs. They all came to us in pairs. They're like little married couples. And Macy's always been with Rue. She's like a year younger than he is, and they've been together their whole lives, like their entire lives. Macy's 17 and Rue's 18, which I know is like, it's like middle age, but for a Shetland it's still really quite young. Like, the Shetlands and the miniatures, they tend to go on a really long time. Like, some of them live like well into their 40s and stuff. It's insane, and she's 17. Like, she just shouldn't be going through this. But I've got Rue there, who, like, he literally lives and breathes for Macy. Like, he'd do anything for her. Like, if you walked Macy one way, he'd be right behind you, and vice versa. Like, Macy's following him everywhere. They spend, like, every other moment of every day grooming one another, and they sleep next to one another. Like, you go in on a night and stuff, and they're, like, curled up in the straw together, like, laid against one another or watching over one another, and, like, it's so upsetting to know that at some point, not only am I gonna lose Macy and the whole family and stuff, but Rue's gonna lose, like, if it's this hard for me, like, and I've only had Macy like 5 years and she's already done this to me, like, how on earth is Rue gonna cope? Like, what can I do for him? Because, like, I've spoken to a few different people and stuff about, like, the possibility of another Shetland coming in to keep him company, like something younger and stuff, because it sounds ridiculous, but I know we have all these other Shetlands, but they don't get on with one another, like, crossovered. They've only ever been with, like, each other's, you know, with their partner, and so we've tried over the years, like, adding them all in together, or having, like, different sets of them come together, and stuff, and, like, it just never works. So it sounds ridiculous, but we've got all these Shetlands, and I've got no one else that could live with Rue, and so, like, we've discussed, like, would we be able to get another Shetland to keep him company and stuff, and I just don't even want to think about it. You know, I look at Macy every day and I'm like, my god, I do not want to ever think about having to replace Macy. It's just been really hard, and I think that's all the answers that I can give for now, and that I'm gonna get as well. I don't think I'm ever gonna find out anything else. We're obviously keeping a really close eye on her. She's going back to the vets in a few weeks to be weighed again, because obviously with this, we've got weigh tapes and stuff, but Shetlands and miniatures, they fill out in such weird ways. Like, I don't want to measure, she's always been quite, like, pot-bellied anyway when she gets a bit bigger, so I don't want to measure her around her tummy and then realise that, like, the weight's way off because of the weight tape, so she's better to just go in and be weighed, and then they've got her opposing weights from different stages to like compare and keep an eye on her really closely. I just love her so much. And I don't want to think about her not being here. And I know in a way it's stupid because like anything can happen at any time. Like look at Dreamer, like he was there one day and then like 5 days later he was gone. Like he was fine and then he was gone, and like that just happened so quickly. You know, and like that could happen with any horse, any person, anyone at any time ever. Like life could change like that, and I know that, so I know it's almost stupid in a way to be thinking like, oh, this is so awful and stuff, and like thinking about what could happen after, because like in reality it could happen to any of us or any of them at any time, and you just block it out because you can't live your life thinking like that. But now I know it's almost worse, because I'm like, every day I look at her and I'm like, oh my god, she looks at me with those gorgeous little eyes, and I have to put on this brave face in front of her because I don't want her to know. But at the moment, I don't know what the future holds for me, for her, for anything, and I've had loads of questions on like the Shetland Games and stuff, like can we do more Shetland Games videos? I loved making those videos, they're some of my favourite videos I've ever made, but a huge reason of why I loved them so much is because of her, and I just don't know how life works without her. So, I don't know about those videos. I don't know whether I'll ever make another again, or what I'm gonna do. But that's the least of my worries at the moment, obviously. But yeah. That is my update. I'm pleased I finally filmed it and it's over. Oh god. So I'll obviously keep you guys updated as things go, but please keep Macy in your thoughts and prayers, and we'll be doing the same. And when she has a checkup in a few weeks, I'm going to ask if she can do any exercise and see if her heart's improved at all or anything. Because obviously when she was really weak she couldn't do anything, but now she's like running around everywhere like a lunatic and she looks great and normal. So while she can, I would love to be able to like do a bit with her in the arena and stuff. She absolutely loves to play around in the arena with me and do her little jumps and stuff. Like, she loves that, and if she's strong enough to do it now, I'd love to maybe have a few more memories like that with her. My camera is nearly dead, so I'm gonna go, but that was the update. I promise the next video will be a lot more upbeat than this. I've just been putting off making this video for so long, because I hate making emotional videos like this. But yeah, thank you guys for watching, and yeah, please keep her in your thoughts, and we'll obviously be doing the same. And yeah, I'll see you guys soon with a much more upbeat video. Love you guys, bye.